What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the Biz with D right here, right now, My Fair Slings Radio. Right now, we have Ashley Kimber, who is a dope R&B artist, and I have the chance of even working with her at this time. How's it going, Ashley? Welcome.
It's going great. Thank you for that great introduction.
So down, I had to bring you in proper, but everybody else I just bring in like, oh, and now it's Boo Boo the Fool.
Right. I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Oh, that's good. So, tell everybody, like how you got started with like your career of singing, like at 15, professionally.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I mean, like most R&B singers, of course, my grandfather was a pastor, and I grew up in the church, so I always knew that singing was something that I wanted to do. I always had like a vocal coach and all that, all that good stuff. My mom kept me in different performing type arts type things. But at the time, I was really, really into being a cheerleader. Well, my vocal coach made me quit cheerleading because she said it was destroying my voice. So my mom was like, okay, well, if you can't cheer, then we need to go ahead and just start. Let's try to see if we can get you in the studio and, maybe we can make a package. Because I was always the kid that was every album that came out, I'm reading all the credits, trying to see who the producer is, who's the star, who can I send this to. So me and my mom really just kind of got together on everything and tried our best to try to get my music out there to reach the right people. But it wasn't until really once I graduated high school and went off to school or whatever, to college, and I ran into, this guy who is, of course, now my manager, Mike Moodswing. That was our first time actually meeting, and that's when I really kind of started taking it serious. I was, meeting people while I was at school, still in and out of studios, and fortunately, once I graduated college, me and Mike ran into each other again, and we've been working together ever since. So it's just kind of always been something I've always just done because I just loved it so much. I knew that was the career path I wanted to take. But I also wanted to make sure I had something to fall back on because you just never know what can happen. So that's pretty much how it started, and I just haven't stopped.
I love that right there, and especially the fact that, we've even talked about this, even though the fact of you went to college and you said, but let me just have this backup just in case, and you went to college for marketing, which is phenomenal.
Right.
There's always a need for marketing somewhere, whether it be entertainment, whether it be politics. Look, everybody needs marketing. So that was a good fallback plan on that backup.
Right, for sure. I was thinking I needed to do something in business, and I was like, okay, what do I actually kind of like? And marketing was it, so it worked out, and it helps me now with different ideas and things like that I can come up with if I can, or it seems to actually fit even with my singing career. So
right, that's so true. And how important would you say it made it a lot better, like versus you not going to college? Because there'll be some people that don't go to college, but marketing be on point, but but knowing the fact that you have that actual knowledge, and it's like, what, no matter what, even if I got somebody that's marketing for me, I got this.
Right. I think that it almost sometimes, I feel like when people know marketing, it does come natural, but it is sometimes good to also know, the textbook knowledge of what's going on, what's the best way to go, what's the best region to do, whatever it is that you're trying to do, who is the, who are your consumers, basically, who is it that you're trying to get. And I think sometimes I kind of sit back, and my manager would ask me a lot of different questions like that, and it makes me feel like I'm back in school, but I'm able to actually still kind of figure it out for myself and see, what is it that I can do, what's, just to try to help the situation or make it better. So I do feel like, me going to school for that, it's a small upper hand, but a lot of people who didn't go to school for it are great as well, like you were saying. I'm just so happy to be blessed with a degree in it. So I can still try to make it do what it do, even if it was a corporate job or whatever, because I've had corporate jobs where I had to do marketing and all kind of stuff, so it definitely helps.
Now, how long did you were you doing like a corporate job before you really got like settled on music?
I've actually just now, like maybe almost a year, not quite a year, to where I've been able to, okay, you know what, I just want to focus on singing only and not have to go to work, because I was working all the time. Like, I kept a job. It's very hard for me not to have a job because I was so used to it, because I'm a very independent person. And I was like, I'm just going to have to make it work. Okay, if I have to be at work from 8 to 5, I'm going to be in the studio by 7. Might be in there all night, but, you know, I have to do what I have to do until I can get to a better place to where I don't have to work and just completely focus on my craft. So it's probably been maybe almost a year. I would say maybe about 9 months since I've actually haven't had a job.
Oh, wow. I know that's right.
Yeah, so I just had to, you know, sometimes you just got to get how you live. I was hustling.
That's true. That is so true.
Still hustling now. I just have time to focus. So.
Right. I mean, of course, always. And that's good that you realize and say, you know what, I can't work this corporate job. I can't work this retail job. Or I can't work that idea job or a job that people think that I should have. I know that I can do this right here and make my money this way. And I think in fact, I even told you my situation like that. So I can definitely relate to that. So you doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's really hard when you're, because what I noticed is that every time I got a job, I was just so unhappy. Like, I was blessed. You know what I'm saying? I was happy to have a job, but I wasn't happy with what I was doing. And I was like, I just cannot see myself being here. You know, you have a coworker is like, oh, yeah, I've been here for 10 years. I'm like, I don't want to be here in 10 years. Like, this is just something that I'm doing just to kind of make sure I'm making ends meet and keeping money in my pocket and bills paid, you know?
Absolutely. So now tell me about growing up in Dallas, because I've never been to Dallas.
What?
No, I've not even been to Texas yet. But we're gonna make a whole change of that this year. So tell me about growing up in Dallas.
Dallas, I absolutely love Dallas. I mean, I don't think I would want to grow up anywhere else. It's kind of like you get, you know, the homegrown Southern girl plus the city. So it's a great combination of both. It's a lot of great culture here. I'm a big foodie person, and Dallas is one of the top cities as far as restaurant goes. This was definitely a perfect place for me to be born and raised. You know, it's just a really beautiful place, man. The people are very nice. Of course, we're Texas people. So, you know, you can walk down the street and everybody's going to smile and say good morning, good afternoon, how are you? You know, everybody's just, you know, it's everybody's nice. It's a really cool place.
Wow. Now, would you say Dallas is better than Houston? Well, you probably say that.
That's hard. I wouldn't say that. Houston is like my second home. I went to college close to Houston, so a lot of my friends, my other best friends, they all live in Houston, other than the ones that are here. So I lived in Houston for a little bit too. And so, of course, I prefer Dallas. I would say I prefer Dallas because my family's here. My family is in here, and I have family in California. But my mom's here, my dad's here, grandmother, everybody's here. So Houston has to be second for me just because, you know, family reasons. But I love both cities.
For sure. And now, earlier you told me about, you know, meeting your manager, Mike, and stuff like that. And I know, like, personally, like, he's really good with, like, coming up with ideas and stuff like that. How would you say, like, just the way that you guys, like, collaborate on certain things actually gels and pans out? Because, I mean, he be on it. I might say something about, let's do a commercial. He'd be like, yeah, and then the commercial, make sure that you're holding this. I'm be like, Mike, I wasn't even thinking about that, but okay.
That's the great thing about Mike, because he thinks of stuff that you're not even thinking about. And I love the fact that he's very technical. And even when you feel like, for me as a woman, you know, I worry about certain things.
Right.
You know, as far as, oh, my hair has to look this way, or, okay, I need my makeup to look this way. And he is just as particular. And so, like, he will notice, for instance, we could be shooting a video, and he'll notice that a hair is out of place before the hairstylist does. So he's always making sure that I look my best, that I am my best in every performance, even musically. Like, we just work together very well, man. Like, it just gels. Of course, we've had our ups and downs, but I think that's what makes our business relationship even stronger, because now we really know what each other like and what we don't like. But, like, literally every rehearsal, like if I'm rehearsing with the band, he's there, you know, listening, and he can point out a lot of stuff that some people probably wouldn't even expect for their manager to point out.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just really good like that, and I think it helps because I'm very technical, and sometimes there are things that I may want to say, but I can't necessarily say it, but he can.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things, since I am so, I try to kind of sit back sometimes and let people just, hey, they got it. I don't have to be, you know, so, okay, did you do this? Well, we need to do this. Well, we need to do that, you know, and sometimes I can get like that. But Mike we work so well together that he's able to kind of just take over, and, you know, he already knows, okay, she's going to need this. I brought this. He'll come back with a bag of goodies. It's just great. It's really great.
That's phenomenal. Speaking of goodies, we're curious to know, like, what are, like, 3 things that are, like, an absolute must-have, like, in your ride or with performing? Because I know for me, there's got to be fruit. There has to be orange juice. There has to be, I don't know what else. I'm a little crazy. But what would you say, like, you absolutely have to have?
I would say an absolute for me is definitely water. I have to have water, like, and I like it to be room temperature. I don't want any ice cold water because it closes up your throat. I need tea. Depending on, typically I like to do green tea just because it's a fat burning tea. So I just feel like, hey, if I'm going to use hot tea, this is what I'm going to use. And I have to have, I'm like, why not burn some fat in the process? So hot tea, honey with lemon. What else do I like? I always have to have some type of snack. So if I can't have, which is crazy, I learned this from a vocal coach, is that I know you're not even really supposed to have it. They're like, oh, you don't need those potato chips. You don't need that. But the Lay's regular potato chips, if I'm about to perform, I definitely like to have that with me because the grease on the chip, it keeps your vocals, it helps coat your vocals. So I definitely like to keep Lay's potato chips. And sometimes, people are like, oh, she just fat. She just wants to snack on something, trying to have an excuse. But that's really why I get the regular. It has to be the regular Lay's. Oh, and also olive oil, because I put olive oil in my tea. It's just like a little spoonful, because it coats your throat as well.
I was
so
just
those
about
are like
to
my
ask you about that.
Mhm.
And does that generally do the trick for you?
It depends on, like, if I know it's a very big show. Like, for instance, anytime I'm doing a TV appearance or whatever, I always use the olive oil because I don't want to go out there. It helps. I feel like for me, it helps me to not crack on any type of note. Your voice is so, that oil, it just coats it so well that it's just like, it's like butter. Like it's just running, you open your mouth, it's just smooth. So that was one thing that stayed with me from this one, and she's an extraordinary vocal coach. Her name is Bird, and she works with a lot of the different TV shows. I mean, they've had a story on her and, like, O Magazine. Like, those are 2 things that she told me, and it has not went away. So
that's phenomenal. I'm going to have to try that. My little somewhat supposed to be singing ass don't be doing all that. I need to try that.
Yeah. Now, it may cause you just a little spoonful. You don't even need a lot. It is something that you have to get used to because you feel like it may feel like it's a little greasy, but it's definitely, and there's a certain kind that you have to buy. And I actually ran out of it, but I'll text it to you so you can have the brand. There's a certain brand.
Okay. Don't want me having the wrong brand. Then be like,
Right. And she's like, this is
the
brand you have to get.
They'd be like, did he really just go on the stage like that? Like, didn't warm up, and he thought that was a stage act? Who the fuck let him go on stage singing like that, as a matter of fact?
Right. Right.
Like, it was all Ashley's fault.
She said.
She said this is how you do it.
Yeah, that's a little trick that I learned, so.
That reminded me talking like that just reminded me about Brian. How he'd be like, all that fast talking he be doing.
Oh, you saying his high voice?
He'd be like,
He definitely, that's how you know he can really hit a note. Because his voice will go so high when he's really passionate about something. He'll just, it just kind of gets up there. But,
I'd be looking at him and be like, what? Like, I'm like, where's that energy coming from, midget? I always pick on him like, yo, you were like, you're short. I said to him, I was like, how did they even let you on the plane? It wasn't like a height requirement. He was like, you got jokes. I'm like, you're short.
Right.
And I know you guys have like a song together that's coming out with you next week. I'm not going to say who's premiering it, but everybody's got to keep their eyes in tuned on that. But tell me how it was, working with him on the track.
It was very cool. Like, for some reason, me and Brian, it's not really difficult for us when we come together and do a song together. We've performed live together quite a few times. And it was crazy because when we would have rehearsals, or even if we're going, into the studio or whatever, it's very natural. And we didn't have to try to find each other's note or anything. It was just like, okay, I'll take the high, you take the low, and that's just what it was. Like, the harmony was automatically on point, so it's very easy to work with him. I think we match each other's voices very well, as well. So it is never really too hard, which is kind of surprising. I just knew it was going to be like, oh my gosh, she about to get on my nerves. He always has something to say to me. He always talking about me. But that was not the case at all.
Oh, man. Did you, feel that kind of way maybe from, the stuff that you had seen on, television, how he's, how he's particular as well, just like you are? Or did you just kind of weary, I don't know?
Well, I think it was probably more on the personal side. Because before me and Brian have ever done anything together, we've actually built a relationship. I've been knowing him for quite a while now. And so I would say I've been knowing him for probably about a year or two, probably about, maybe no, it's been 2 years since we've actually did anything together. So we were actually able to build this whole brother-sister relationship. He's very protective. He always had something to say. So I was more worried about that. Are we going to argue today? Are we going to get into it? Because he knows how to try my patience. And I always tell him, don't try my patience.
Oh, he's a patience trier.
He likes to try my patience.
Are you really, upset right now? Are you really?
Yeah.
Who pissed you
and
off?
Then, of course, you see him on the show, and when they're recording, how they go back and forth about certain things. But fortunately for me, it wasn't that hard. We actually, when we did this particular song, we were both on the move so much that we didn't really get a chance just to sit down at the same time and do it. So with that recording, we just kind of went back and forth over it and was, talk on the phone about it. Mike would give us on the conference call, okay, no, change this. I need you to do this. Hey, make sure you stay in this pocket of it. And that was just kind of how it was. But when we performed live together, it was even easier. It was like, it was a no-brainer. We went out there and he came out at a certain part of the performance to surprise people, and we killed it. So
that's amazing. That's seriously amazing. I can't wait for that one day where I can be in the studio with y'all and just, like, watch the magic happen, or all three of us get on the track. Let me stop.
You never know. You never know.
That's what I try to tell people as I'm coming out of this hiatus, but we ain't talking about me and my music hiatus. We're talking about you. But that's but that's seriously exciting because, I mean, I've heard the track, and I've got to say, I love it. I think it's really different from what people are going to expect, and that's good because you never want people to expect that one thing. Well, I mean, you want them to expect that one thing just so they're like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be an upbeat song. I wonder if it's going to be a ballad. But I'm not saying which one it is. Y'all just got to wait.
Yeah, I think people are going to be surprised. And I've let a few friends hear it. I always just like to get, real opinions before I release anything, just to kind of see if there's something I can change. Because a lot of times you could hear something differently than what the consumer actually could hear, especially if they're not a musical person. So it's always good to get their actual real opinion on the song, and every single one of them have loved it. And it's not one of those tracks that, we're not going all really like churchy and tons of runs on it or anything. It's just a very just simplistic song, and sometimes that's great and it's needed.
That's right. Yeah, it's not a lot of those runs or anything. Y'all just, you know what? I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm going to let you say the minimum of what you want to talk about it, but I'm not going to say it because then I can't go on. But I like it. I didn't, and you've seen in person how my face reacts to stuff I don't like.
Mhm. Oh,
listen,
yeah.
I was all smiles. I wasn't like head shaking and face. Oh gosh, I be going in.
Yeah.
That's how you know. I cannot wait for everybody to hear it. Man.
Me too.
Next
I just hope that everyone loves it and receives it. I just hope that they receive it very well, and we'll see what happens with it. But I did feel like that it was something that we needed to get out there, just so kind of leak it and get the public's reaction of what they feel, and we'll just kind of go from there with the song. But I'm excited for the day that me and him are able to perform it together. I think that's what I'm looking forward to because, like I said, we have a great time every single time we perform together. So.
Right. Do you have is there a date for that yet, or not quite yet?
As far as the performance goes?
Yep.
Not quite, but hopefully here soon. I would hope before the end of the summer. So
that needs to be like July 27th. I'm just saying.
Is that your birthday?
No, and my birthday's April 27th, but I'm just making a